Hi, this is Professor Debbie Cox, and I am also the librarian here at Grace School of Theology. And today I am going to be talking to you about eBook databases. eBooks are electronic books, and they're becoming a really huge part of our culture, as you probably already know. People have things like eBook readers and tablets, and now people can even read books on their phones. The library is not behind in this field because we know that students need to be able to read things on the go. And we also know that students are sometimes in areas where it's not convenient to get to a physical library, or they're in areas where there are no physical libraries that carry the kind of books that they need for the research that they're doing. So at Grace School of Theology, we offer you several excellent eBook databases, and these are subscription databases. The school pays the subscription, and so you do not have to. We go into EBSCOhost. EBSCO is the company that sponsors and offers us these databases, and EBSCOhost is the full name because they are hosting the databases. Now, if you've seen any of the other library videos, you may have seen this list before, but we're not going to look at the same videos in this. Each library video will be different. So, eBook collection, because we're looking at electronic books, is one of the databases that we want to select when we're on the EBSCOhost Choose Databases page. So, eBook collection, and then down one, eBook academic collection, which is a higher level of journals, not journals, but eBooks. And these electronic books are at the college level and higher. Now, we're not going to check Atlas Religion databases with Atlas serials because these are not books. These are articles. And we are going to look at only the eBook databases in this particular video. Now, as we go down, I'm skipping the ones that are journal and magazines articles, and I'm only picking the ones that are eBook collections. Now, when we talk about an eBook collection, we are talking about full text books, every page of the book being offered to you. And that is how you will find all of our eBook collections. A journal collection in a database or a magazine collection in a database may have citations and abstracts, but not the whole article. None of the eBook databases that we offer you are citation or abstract databases. They are full book, eBook databases. So those are the main ones that we see right there, and then here are some of the other databases that are available on this page. So now we've made our eBook selections, and we're going to click Continue. Now at this point, we're going to see some differences in the way an eBook collection database works from the way some other databases that only contain journal and magazines might work. So we're going to look again at this. It's our advanced search field. You can go to a basic search, which is only one line, but the advanced search is simply easier for most people to use, and so why not use it? Here you can put in a title or a topic, and you can choose the field you want it to be in. You can choose it to be in anywhere in the book. You can choose it to be the author, so you know that you love a certain author and you want to see if there are any ebooks by that author. Then you can click the author line and put that author name in. Or there would also be books that are about an author, but in that case you would do the title field or the subject field. But if you want something the author actually wrote himself, then you would want to use the author field. Let's try that for a moment. There was a very famous Puritan preacher. You may have heard of him. His name was Jonathan Edwards. Jonathan Edwards' most famous sermon was "Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God." And interestingly enough, he wrote that to try to rouse up his own congregation because he felt that they weren't reaching out to the community. They were satisfied with where they were, and they weren't evangelizing enough to suit him. So here we have 6 hits for books by Jonathan Edwards. Jonathan Edwards' Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God, a case book, that's the first one I told you about. Freedom of the Will, The Excellency of Christ, a sermon. Writings on the Trinity, Grace and Faith, a Jonathan Edwards reader, and the Sermons of Jonathan Edwards, a reader. Each of these is a book that was published by a publishing company in print format, but now they have been put online. So if we want to look at one of these books, by the way, a case book means that it's going to have not only the article or the book itself, but it's going to have articles about the subject under discussion. So we're going to go to PDF full text, which gives us the full text of the book. And this book has a red cover. These books are so complete that they even show you the cover. Now, so far, I've never needed a cover a single time that I've written a research paper, but if I did, I would have it. Let's go to contents. This is something else that we can see in a book. We can see what the contents page of the book looks like, and we can determine whether it's something we think would be useful. And when we do look at this, we see that it's not just the one article, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God, which was one sermon, but it's all these other articles too, because this is a book. This is not just an article. And there's an introduction, and then it's broken down over here, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God, a theological primer, and it just continues. Now, you could find these articles, which are actually full books, by looking up this person. Let's try a different topic. Let's try, instead of an author, let's try a title. Now, my teacher has told me that he wants me to write an expository commentary on a certain passage in Scripture. And so what I want to do is find some commentaries to give me examples of what a commentary is. So I hit commentary here. I want it in the title, and I click. And you will notice that I got 716 hits. Not bad, 716 complete books. But here's another thing. This is not just religious titles. These databases are provided to colleges at many different levels and also at many different subject areas. So what you're going to find is, the first one here is great, IVP Bible Commentary background, but the second one doesn't have anything to do really with the Bible. It's about philosophy and logic. Then I have a commentary on Isaiah and a commentary on Matthew, and as you see, a lot of them are biblical commentaries. So what I could do is I could put commentary and John. Now what will happen? A couple of things could happen. I might get commentaries on the book of John in the Bible, or I might get commentaries written by somebody named John, because I'm not being very specific if I just leave it on select a field. So I'm going to go ahead and make this one a title search too. And now I'm getting a very nice list of commentaries on the Gospel of John. Now, if you were taking a class called the Gospels, then you might want to find a commentary on the Gospels. So notice how changing one word makes a tremendous difference in your results. I want to point one other thing out to you while I'm thinking about it right here. Notice that while I told you, I will tell you if you haven't seen the other video, that in journal and magazine databases, you need to click full text. It saves you time and trouble. But in an eBook database at Grace School of Theology, you don't even have to bother with full text, because every book we offer you in these eBook databases is a complete book. Every word, every line. So here we have commentaries on the Gospel of John. Now I wanted to do commentaries just on the Gospels. And I'm going to hit search. And I've got more on John, because John is one of the Gospels. And then I look down the page, see what else is here. The original Gospel of Thomas. Uh-oh, what's that? If you look at the Holy Bible, you will not find the Gospel of Thomas in it. Remember I told you this isn't just a religious database or just a strictly conservative or liberal database. This is a database of books about all kinds of things. The Gospel of Thomas is one of the Gnostic Gospels that has been found, called a Gospel, but it's not part of the Holy Bible. So you have to be careful what you're looking at. Make sure that you know what you are perceiving. Okay, let's say that I'm also interested in the subject of the resurrection. Now here's one that sounds good. The Resurrection of the Messiah, a narrative commentary on the resurrection accounts in the 4 Gospels. I'm going to just open up the Holy Bible here, our best source, and I'm going to read you a resurrection appearance. This is in Luke 26, and it's right after the road to Emmaus incident where Jesus appears to people on the road to Emmaus after his crucifixion. Jesus appears to his disciples. Now, this is after that. Now, as they said these things, Jesus himself stood in the midst of them and said, "Peace to you." But they were terrified and afraid and supposed they had seen a spirit. And he said to them, "Why are you so troubled? And why do you doubt? Why do you doubt? Why do doubts arise in your heart? Behold my hands and my feet, that it is I. Handle me and see, for a spirit does not have flesh and bones, as you see I have." When he said this, he showed them his hands and his feet. But while they still did not believe for joy and marveled, he said to them, "Have you any food here?" So they gave him a piece of broiled fish and some honeycomb. And he took it and ate in their presence. And he said to them, "These are the words that I spoke to you while I was still with you, that all things must be fulfilled, which were written in the law of Moses and the prophets and the Psalms concerning me." He opened their understanding that they might comprehend the Scriptures. And he said to them, "Thus it is written, and thus it was necessary for Christ to suffer and to rise from the dead on the third day." And so this is Jesus after the crucifixion and the resurrection, talking to his disciples in his resurrection body and telling them that everything that happened to him was necessary. Now here, let's say you were writing a paper about the resurrection appearances of Jesus Christ. Here we have a book called The Resurrection of the Messiah, a narrative commentary on the resurrection accounts in 4 Gospels. So in this book, you're going to have someone who is drawing to your attention every resurrection appearance of Jesus and talking about them as they appear in the 4 Gospels. Now, how can you use this book? You can click on the title of the book, and when you do, you see a detail sheet, just as I was telling you, if you have seen any of my other videos, there's usually a detail sheet. And then download this book offline or EPUB full text. When I click on EPUB full text, I can actually see the entire book, as before, starting with the cover, and then I can see it page by page. But page by page is kind of a slow way to find things. And in this case, I could go to the table of contents right here, or I got to it by just going in 3 pages in this instance. And here I have a linked table of contents. And a linked table of contents is really great because when you're writing a paper and you have, for example, 8 weeks to write it, you may not have time to read every chapter of every book you find. So you can look at this and you see here's Mark's Passion story, Mark's resurrection story. Here's chapter 2, the resurrection of the Messiah according to Matthew, the resurrection of the Messiah according to Luke, the resurrection of the Messiah according to John, and then it breaks it down into individual sections. So this is a table of contents as you like to see it. The only thing that's different here is we're not seeing page numbers. And in some of them you will see the page number right over here. But in this case you don't really need to see the page number to find the section because you can click and it's a link right to that passage in the book. So here we are. And this is the passage that we needed about that section. And that's the conclusion to that passage about that particular resurrection appearance. And that's in Matthew. Okay. So what are these ebooks good for? Well, they're good for reading online, but they're good for a lot of other things too. For one thing, the research I'm talking about, you can search within them. So here I can search for Jesus. Pretty good search, huh? And then I can see everywhere where the word Jesus appears in this entire book. And I can find the passage that is significant to me. Let's say I wanted to see something about Mary. Because you may remember that he appeared to Mary. Mary Magdalene. She ran to Peter. So then all of a sudden I have all the different Marys, and I say, oh, which Mary did I mean? But I have pages 6 to 10, citations 6 to 10, and citations 11 to 15. 15 pages of citations here of places where Mary appears in a book about the resurrection of Jesus. Fascinating. So also you can go down here and you can go to the different chapters. But what if you want to do a little more than that. Some books can be downloaded. And let's go back a page. And it says download this book offline. Now, it doesn't mean when you're offline you can download this book. What it means is that you can download this book so that you can read it when you're offline. So what I'm going to do is hit download this book, and immediately you will see the first time you use this, please sign in to my EBSCO account to check availability and download. Sign in to my EBSCO host. If you already have an account, you can do this. So the second time you use this database, it'll be easy. But the first time, you actually have to create a new account in order to download. Not to read, but to download. And look at this. That's the entire page. That is as short as any search engine browser login page where you create your account for the first time. So it's just a few questions, create a password, and after that, you will be able to download books onto your computer. Now, you might ask me, how can they do that? Isn't that violating copyright? Well, the way they do it is they check the book out to you, to your account, for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month, however many days that they allow that particular book to be checked out, and then it's on your computer for that number of days, but it disappears after, say, the 21st day, if they let you check it out for 3 weeks. It disappears. Sometimes the title remains, which I think is a weakness in their program, but the book itself disappears. So that way they are loaning you the book for a period of time, just like any other library. They are not giving you the copyrighted book. Over here, we have an add to folder. You have to have your own account if you want to keep things in a folder for more than one session. So if I put something in my folder, I put this article in my folder, it'll stay in a folder for me until the end of my session. But as soon as I close out of this database, this eBook database, it won't be there anymore. But it's different if I've already signed in. If I have signed in with the account I just created, I can keep that article, that book in that folder for as long as I want. It's on their database. They haven't checked it out to me. It's in my folder. You can print these articles, although in many of these databases, the eBook databases, you can only print a few pages at a time. So it can be a very slow process. What they really want is for you not to print them out, except for a little bit at a time, but rather to put them in a folder or email them to yourself and use them. The email links are not always the whole book. If it's an uncopyrighted book, it might be. That's the old stuff like Josephus, Antiquities, and things like that. But you can email it to yourself using this link. You can save the article to the book to your computer. Sometimes you can only save the citation. If you want the whole book, you're going to have to do the download this book or just read it online. If you like reading online, then no problem. You can also export it to a citation. You can use the citation format for finding your Turabian citations. You can export it to a bibliography file that will help you to create your bibliography, your list of sites, list of works cited for your papers. You can create a note. Right here, you can use this function to create a note that you want to put in about this book. I should really use this in the third section of my paper. The permalink, again, the permalink, if you've ever seen one before, will take you directly to the book you're talking about, but you have to be inside the EBSCO host program before it will do that. And you can share it. You can share it with other people. You can put it on Facebook. You can Twitter about it, etc. You can pin it. So there are a lot of choices. If you need an email application, you can download one. And there's a nice little function over here called Most Relevant Pages of this book. So I had asked for Mary, and so I will probably find that each of the most relevant passages that they offer me is a passage that talks, oh, and this one I just asked for commentary. But if I ask for Mary and resurrection, then the same thing will happen. It will pull up what it considers, that was a mistake, what it considers the most relevant passages. What I did was I went back a screen when I didn't mean to. There we go. There we go, much better. Now, what you're going to find is that the more you practice with these databases, the better you're going to get with them. And there are thousands and thousands of books here that you can get. I found a book on how to paper my walls. I found a book on how to do my own plumbing. But much more important are those books which refer to the Holy Bible so that we can learn more about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Thank you, and if you need me, my name is Debbie Cox. I'm the librarian, and I'm a professor here at Grace School of Theology.